Welcome back. Welcome back. This is the Robaer Report coming to you once again on a Monday night. We got here a little late today, but that's neither here nor there. I'm gonna hit this other go live. It might go live to Facebook still. Well, it won't go live. Well, whatever. We'll get back to Facebook. Tonight I'm here once again with the Robaer Report. Shout out to everybody on the Black USA News team. You see some of the hosts on the background screen. That's a new screen that has been created for us. We are in NYC, Oakland, Maryland, DC, and Atlanta, and I believe a few more locations across the United States. But today we're coming from Gaithersburg, Maryland, Montgomery Village, right outside of Washington, D.C. area. I'm talking to one of my good friends about his contribution to society, which is the mission of the Robaer Report, talking to individuals about their contribution to society. Here's one of my good friends, Mr. Damian Bascom. I've known him for well over 15 years. He's a local guy to the DC area. I actually worked for him for a brief period back 10 years ago, 10, 15, 12 years, something like that. I can't remember, but I did work for him. And he's here to talk to us today about his venture into entrepreneurship. Damon, take it away, man. How you doing today?
I'm doing excellent, man. For a Monday, it was a good day. It had a couple of things go on today, but fairly well. Productive day.
Gotcha.
Thanks, man. It's really a pleasure to be on, Robaer, man. I think just what we talked about in the interview. I'm looking forward to this dialogue tonight.
Yep. Damien has a pretty impressive resume. I wouldn't even call it a resume. I don't even know if he has a resume because he's been in entrepreneurship his entire life. Adult life, I'll say that. He probably does have a resume. I'm not going to discount him on that, but I'm bringing that up because I've never known him to say, man, I got to go to W-2 type job. Always been a go-getter, somebody who has made his own way. And he's the epitome of being an entrepreneur for a young, talented black person in the DMV. So we're going to start with one of the questions. What got you into entrepreneurship versus being an employee?
Well, what got me into entrepreneurship is that I think early on in my life, I learned that having hobbies like summer young people do, and one of the things that I observed, not other summer youth were doing this, but other older men were doing this in my neighborhood. I saw a man pushing a lawnmower around the neighborhood, and he was cutting grass, and he came over to my house and he asked my mom and my grandma, can he cut the grass for us? And my mom and my grandmother, they paid him one year. I think I was around about 11 years old. And, following the next year, I kind of got the opportunity to cut my own lawn. My mom told me I was a little too young at 11. And then further in that, I started to become a little bit more aware of, working in return for being able to purchase things. I always thought my mom just had money in her purse and money grew on trees, or I didn't even understand where money came from. But as I began to observe and understand that that you worked for, and then I learned lessons of working and being able to go out there in being able to be an entrepreneur. And along that line of my observation, because it was a quite unique observation being a youth growing up in an urban community, single family home, the community has different things that you can get exposed to. And I think some of the people in the community, my neighbors, they exposed me to some other activities of economic development and things of that nature. And I saw how these things were able to, you do this and other people are doing what they're doing, and you're doing what you're doing. You want what you need. And they kind of came together. So I look at it as I became from that early childhood experience of just observing and trying to earn some income. I turned into a social entrepreneur because I looked at how society was kind of operating. from different scenarios that I was experiencing, and I think that's the beginning of my lessons. If I can kind of gather it there, and then my grandmother was an independent entrepreneur. She did Mary Kay, and she also did. She held like this thing called the Suzus. I'm from Guyana, and she taught me some of these things. She taught me some of these activities as a youth. I would listen to her, and she also ran a daycare, and I worked in a daycare. I was her assistant. I was the spoiled little assistant. I never got in trouble, but I had to do work. I had to help change diapers. I had to help feed the babies, and I had to do those type of things while I was there. And I became my grandmother's favorite, actually. Spent a lot of time with my grandmother, and she became my best friend. She knew me, and she observed me as I gotten older. She prayed for me. I think, I could go into how I observed my relationship with my grandmother and who I am today. And she also added that component, because when I took my lawn care business and I got a van, or I got an opportunity from somebody else, after I got in trouble a little bit and learned, what not to do to get in trouble as a youth,
Right, I got
and making money or just being young and adolescent. But Robaer, man, I can continue to talk about the subject of what got me into it. It's like a kind of a history piece. And it just, when I say social entrepreneur versus entrepreneur, because I've actually made money just by looking at what the community needs are. We have senior citizens that reach an age. We have babies that are at an age, and we have young people that need work, and
right.
We have solutions that we can create. And so, my endeavors of entrepreneurship is I can keep talking, man. I actually I need to write some of this stuff down I'm talking about.
Hey man, there's a lot of people should be in particular entrepreneurs should be writing down some of the lessons that they learn as they go throughout their entrepreneurial journey. For book purposes, for being able to share them on interviews, and then just for having good conversation at dinner parties. And so I'll bring up another topic that we discussed, because for those who watch my show, they do know that I have preliminary interviews with my guests. So I'll jump into another topic. What are the top 3 mistakes that you have made, that you have experienced being an entrepreneur?
The top 3 mistakes that I've made.
If you can just say 1 or 2, that'll be great.
Yo,
but I just
mixing business and pleasure. Number 1.
Okay.
Right. See, mixing business and pleasure is one that is one. And then number 2 would be, these are not in no order, but they're coming to my head, right? As you think about 3, and not paying myself first, working and not paying myself, not putting myself first is a very important principle. Even if it's $100 a week and you're working 40 hours a week, it's not that you're paying all your bills and then you're taking the less after the end of the month, or when you need it from your bank account, and not managing your books right. Starting from the beginning and developing and paying yourself first and living off that budget. And then budgeting, you know what I mean? Always having operating from a plan, a to-do list. And a to-do list looks like a budget. A to-do list looks like what you're accomplishing. And you can track yourself, you know what I mean? Yeah. Those 3 things, as an entrepreneur, those 3 things are very important. If you start your day without the to-do list, you know what I mean? If you're not treating yourself like you are very important, it's not being with pride or taking from the business, and then the business is suffering. It's actually understanding you are just as important as everything else is important, and not putting yourself last.
That's right.
And then bringing on, mixing business and pleasure. Business and pleasure is something that, when the relationship is just pleasure, and it's, business is important, right? A relationship is important. A pleasure is not important. So you don't mix the 2. You know what I mean? A relationship that you're investing into time, It's not something that you're going to look at carelessly. So you manage your relationships properly, and not mixing pleasure and business. Personal and business. It's two different things. The personal should overrule. If people support, or your friends support you, they should give you a little tip. They should not ask for a discount.
Yeah.
You shouldn't be looking to give your friends some discount. No, your friends should be looking to give you a tip. I
have a friend who he had an Airbnb business, and it was in Northern Virginia, Alexandria, I believe, Arlington, Alexandria, and he would say that his close friends, because he was using an apartment right off the strip in Alexandria, Arlington, King Street, Queen Street, whatever it's called, very popular area. But his friends would have people come to town, and he would say they'd ask him to let them use the space outside of the B&B constraints. And then they wanted a discount. So he would do it because they were his friends, but he was saying, I'm losing money at the same time, attempting to be friendly with other people. And it's his person, and his income, that's his income producing property that he has, but he's losing money trying to maintain a friendship. So what you're saying is absolutely correct. Mixing business with pleasure. Some could take it other ways. So many ways you could take that. It could be sexual relationship, it could be familial relationship. But when you have friends and they don't want to tip you, they'll go to the bar or to the restaurant and tip. But when they come to you, they want to, pull back in your income. But it still wants you to hang out with them at the same time. Not like friends or anything, but I'll go to another question because we will develop these questions and answers in a future interview. But I just want to introduce you to the guests who decide to watch our network. Another question is, I mentioned the failures or mistakes. What are 3 successes that you have experienced as an entrepreneur?
Wow. One of the successes as an entrepreneur, and I like to use the word social entrepreneur because it's given me such a unique platform here, is to be able to navigate through different lanes. And I think my years of experience as an entrepreneur has given me an ability to look at different backgrounds and be able to not go to school and learn about code switching, but actually be in present experiences and understand when dialogue certain ways. Because when you're in certain areas, you talk a certain way, but when you're in certain areas, you eat with the fork in your left hand or something.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's important to understand ethics. And along my journey as an entrepreneur, I say social entrepreneur because I observed people and I was able to have different experiences, go different places, be invited to different experiences. I think that normally if I was, just average individual engaging in society, I would not have had these experiences. So I would say number one has been the experience. It's been some entrepreneurs would say it's a priceless experience.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say another.
It's kind of a trick question that I gave you. As a trick question that I gave you because most people don't think about their successes. They just do the work and they just get it done. But keep going. I that's kind of a trick question I gave you. So
I personally don't feel like I've reached really success. But along the way, I've had some happiness. I've had some opportunities, some activities that I can look back at and I can look at, and I do sometimes look at, and I think just that question is giving me the ability to think about some of these things. And I really appreciate you asking me that. But 2 more successes really quickly is just being around certain people is number one. Experiences, and I think freedom, being able to wake up when I wanted to wake up on certain days, just choose to do what I wanted to choose to do. And then if somebody really wanted to criticize me, I had the ability to have a little bit more negotiation about how I wanted to take a stand of what I was dealing with versus under the like the thumb. Like you better hurry up to the job, and you better not show up late again because you're gonna lose this job.
Yeah, right,
I can call a contractor. I mean, if it's contractors, it's a contract. Contractors already know, like it's a certain amount of time you have to accomplish this activity. And then you managing that with your integrity. You know what I mean? So it's more freedom. You're not under, and you have more dominion of what you're creating. I think that's another success. And the little bit of opportunity I can create, I can move, you know what I mean? Versus like moving under somebody else's playing field. You can create and move. And I think, I would add number 3 as a creator. Becoming a creator, as I call it social entrepreneurship. I think my third success, and I haven't reached ultimate success yet, but I've had some successes. Other people probably mention other ones, but those 3 will be mine.
Okay, gotcha. And it's funny you talk about being under the thumb. What comes to my mind, and we'll this will be my last statement because we'll have you back on because I know you have an engagement to attend to. But I'll say this: I was living in Texas for a little over a year, and I had gotten a job with an insurance agency. So the agent said, "Hey, the guy who ran the agency, I love the guy. He became one of my good friends. But he was like, hey, I want you to go to this event." So I went to this event, and I was in Dallas. Dallas area is huge. So I went to the event, having a good time. I'm learning what he told me, what he wanted me to go and learn. So he calls me like, hey, I need you to get back to the office. I'm like, okay, I'm coming back. So it's really about an hour drive. I need you back here in like 35, 40 minutes. What? And so the lady that he told me to go and see was like, man, he rushing you to get back. And I ended up rushing back, hopping into the wrong lane, and got back within an hour and a half. The traffic was so crazy in Dallas, but I'm like, I let this person rush me, and I wasn't almost about to get into an accident, but I made a mistake on the highway, which added 30 minutes to the trip. So being under somebody's thumb as an employee is one of the reasons that I know that some people do not choose to go the W-2 route. But that's neither here nor there, man. Look, we're going to have Mr. Bascom back with Bascom Enterprises, and we'll get into his story more. I want to thank you so much for coming on today and blessing us with your presence. And just a short synopsis of what you do in regard to entrepreneurship, because we'll get into the meat and potatoes of it a little later. And for the vegans, we'll get into the rice and beans. Take care. This is the Robaer Report. Thank you all for viewing our show today. Once again, thank you to Mr. Bascom and Bascom Enterprises. You all have a good rest of the day, and I do look forward to you all tuning in next Monday. Take care.
Positive. This is really good here, bro.